stacks it. He knows how to stack them well. Look at this.
I'll let you do your
How are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Great, how are you?
Good. Thanks for making it in.
Yeah, no problem.
So I was saying the pink beer, and this is how we kind of came together a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Sean, how old was Revival now?
Our Revival was founded in 2011.
Okay. But your history in this goes much further back.
Timeless.
Timeless. Talk about your background for us, because it's something that, I mean, I met you a long time ago in one of the places that you started.
So I grew up in the city. I started cooking at Trinity Brew House in 1994. And then I was given the opportunity to become their head brewer there in 1996, roughly. After that, in about 2004, 2006, somewhere around there, the folks from Narragansett started to approach us and ask us about designing craft beers for them. So I worked with Narragansett and with Trinity Brew House for quite a certain amount of time. And then I decided, I came upon the novel idea that I would decide to try this business out for myself, which has been amazing, wonderful, and eye-opening at the same time. But some people call me the Godfather of craft beer.
Right.
I just say I've been around a long time.
No, but it's a good homage to you to truthfully say that, is that I think that you impressed upon a lot of people the fact of how you started and your background there and the chance you took to get to where you are now. So congratulations to you in that role.
Thank you.
It's really fantastic. Tell us about how many different kinds, and we'll get into these, how many different varieties are there of Revival?
Throughout the year, we have anywhere from 12 to 16 beers that we have rotating. Some beers such as Pinky Swear, Mercy Brown, Helena Oktoberfest are what we call seasonals, but we like to call them more specialty beers. The term seasonal sometimes scares retailers into thinking that, it's, that's a seasonal, so it's limited and it's not going to be around for a while, so I don't know if we're going to take it in. So we just like to call them our rotational beers.
Nice, okay. So the ones that you brought today, and I want to start with the Pinky Swear, because this is one we've been highlighting and was a nice fit for this month for breast cancer awareness month. So let's talk about this one first.
So the Pinky Swear is technically what's called a kettle sour. Did you bring a glass in? Do you have a glass? We chose Foolproof as the glass of choice for Revival today.
We did. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to give us a glass. While he's opening that, I'll grab a glass.
No problem. Wow, I'm all alone in the Go Local Prov studio. I wonder what's going to happen.
We're going to go to the glass. Sean's going to talk about it while I bring the glasses. Talk about that.
So our Pinky Swear is actually what's called a kettle sour. So we essentially make a base beer, let it sour in our kettle by sitting over a weekend for 48 hours. We add yogurt, lactic acid to it, which drops the pH of that beer down to about 3.5%.
And look at this, I'm borrowing a Foolproof glass.
There you go. They're my homies, so that's fine. So after we ferment that beer in wheat beer yeast, and the fermentation ceases, that's when the fruit comes in. We add 300 pounds of raspberries and blueberries to this beer to make this gorgeously...
So look at the color.
Gorgeously, I don't think is a word, but this gorgeous pink-colored beer.
So where did the idea of this beer come from?
It's really a take on a traditional style called Berliner Weisse, which is basically a wheat beer that has the addition of raspberries or raspberry syrup, depending on what time period it is. When I first started at Trinity, we had made a wheat beer called the Hefeweizen, and then we had some raspberry syrup that we would add to it once in a while, and that was done by one of our featured bartenders back then. But with the advent of craft beer and things keeping with authenticity, we decided obviously to make it as traditional as possible, and used frozen fruit.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So we had this at a tasting of A Taste of Hope, and this, I think we got down to like 3 cans at the end because it was so popular. People just kept coming
People
back.
fight over it?
Yeah, it was crazy. They really were loving it.
That's awesome.
I mean, and it was split. I can't say that it was all females or all males. It was really split down the road with people saying that the taste was unique. I mean,
I think it really takes people by surprise. Sour beers in general have been on the rise, at least for the past 10 years that I've been involved in brewing. It's sort of a lost art that was rediscovered or rebirthed or revived, as it would be. And really, it's these wild flavors and tartness that you get from basically foreign yeast strains that aren't pure cultures.
So let's go into the other ones that you brought here, because this is amazing. So I'm going to be just drinking this one, but we're going to get into the other ones again.
So this year we came out with another IPA, which we call You Thirsty. and it's sort of a take on pop culture and the New England IPA craze, which are basically hazy / juicy style India Pale Ales. So this one clocks in at about 6.5%. It's a nice hazy golden color. And we've actually been selling about 200 barrels a month of this beer since we started in about May, which is huge. Yeah, business went up about 67% when we started canning it. So we're doing everything in our power just to keep up with it right now.
Now, why do you think that is that this one became so popular?
I think number one, everybody had been waiting for a revival to put stuff into cans, which was really weird because I was like, hey, my beer's good, but they're like, yeah, it's in bottles. I was like, well, that's weird, but okay. So once we put stuff in cans, we saw our business across the board just spike because, as Nick said earlier, it's really just the preferred method of packaging as of late. And I think that's mostly because of accessibility. But the success of this beer, I think, really hits on the fact that the style trend is really big right now. But it's basically an amazing, hoppy style beer that I think people really enjoy, and there's some tongue-in-cheek branding that goes along with it.
Well, and I think that's what I wanted to talk about too, is the branding. Is that I had a lot of comments when we were featuring your beers, and even when I had people commenting about the show today, is that your packaging is enticing before they even realize what the beer is.
Yeah,
is that you guys have created this really cool look and feel to all this stuff.
Well, I mean, all of that credit goes to our designer AJ Paglia, a good friend of mine.
Good job.
The kid is a wizard. He's currently living in Atlanta right now, helping to run a company called Snort T-shirts. He's a partner in that company.
Nice.
But he's a Cranston native, and basically we kind of have like that sort of branding partnership, like the dudes from Metallica, where we call each other late at night. We haven't spoken to each other in a couple months, and I'm like, hey, I got this idea. What do you think about it? And he's like, all right.
Then he comes up with
and then he just comes up with it, and he kills it every time. So. Yeah, we let him do his thing.
Well, he's done a great job with it. So we're going to talk about the two other ones, but then we got
Sure.
split news with Sean here, so we got to make sure we cover it.
So the other seasonals of the moment are,
This one here, right?
and I'll just front face them this way, Mercy Brown, which is our Imperial Brown Ale that we do every year, but this is our first feature in cans, and then Helena Oktoberfest, which is this year's Oktoberfest, which is unfiltered and done with a bunch of German variety hops, and is super tasty right now.
So now,
But a little plug about this beer tonight. It's Craft Beer Week this week, so if you go down to Arcadia Pizza in South County, we're featuring Pinky Swear on draft down there. Shout out to our homies at Arcadia
so it's
Pizza.
Craft Beer Week?
Yeah, it's Craft Beer Week in Providence.
Arcadia Pizza, you better be watching this, liking it, reforwarding it, the whole 9 yards. Now, I had a question about, again, going back to the style and the concentration on it. So the Oktoberfest ones, people have told me that they're generally higher in alcohol concentration. Is that true?
Not really. I mean, generally, stylistically, it's between 5 and 7%, depending on what style Fest beer. And Fest beer over the years has lost a lot of, or I shouldn't say has lost, there have been lots of different variations about it. Typically, it's done with Munich and Vienna malts. And it's to celebrate the brewing season, which is kind of ironic because sometimes some companies force it out at like the tail end of July into August. But really, it's a malty style German lager that should have a balance between malt and hops, and that should be the main feature.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the other exciting news, and I did put this out there because I wanted to highlight, and I thought it was great, is that Sean mentioned where his background started and that he was a chef. And we have an announcement. What's going to be happening in a few weeks?
So last year we partnered with my friend Jason Timothy and Lee Vincola, and we created a catering company called Laughing Gorilla. We had gotten tons of requests for Revival to, be the feature beer at different events around the city, around the state, and legally brewing companies aren't really allowed to do that unless they work with a catering company. So I became a minority partner in a catering company with the intention of helping my friend Jason Timothy incubate his business and really, sort of incubate his dreams to become a chef. And then shortly after that happened, they invited us to go and run Kitchen, which was across the street from the Providence police station. Kitchen is obviously a well-known, well-established breakfast place that's been a staple in the city. So while Howard was going through some recovery period for an illness that he had, they asked us to basically be the vanguards for his restaurant. So we ran a pop-up kitchen out of there, and it went really amazing. And then through that, Armory Property approached us and said, hey, we have this space on Valley Street. Are you guys crazy enough to take it over? And we were like, all right, Onlyville, Valley Street, yeah, we can do that. So now we've basically we're opening a restaurant on Valley Street called Troop, and Troop basically is what you would call a group of gorillas or a gaggle of gorillas. So it's going to be called Troops or Troop Eats, Beats, and Drinks, but it's going to be a very accessible global street food type of place. We're going to do. Oh man, I just had a loss. We're gonna small breakfast, some food to go, full service lunch, and full service dinner and late night menu.
Really,
as
lunch
well.
and dinner?
Yeah.
Wow.
One of the things we've heard from the folks at the United Way and the tech companies around there is that they really would like some, other choices as well as what they've got down there. I mean, Onlyville is really a great fabric of restaurants. There's easy entertaining down there. There's La Lupita. There's of course Onlyville Systems, so
right.
we're just adding to the fabric that's already there.
So, and this area is another great area in the city, and Sean was nice enough to let me go down and take a walk through the space and see it. So I felt like which like 80 seats. The bar is massive. The bar is huge.
Well, they built a gigantic bar, and that was one of the reasons that we thought about beverage service first, or heavy beverage service, in terms of non-alcoholic and alcoholic. So we're going to have cold brewed coffee, nitro coffee, iced tea, a juice program or fresh juice program down there.
Wow.
We're really just going to take advantage of the whole gambit. So it's not necessarily going to be fronted as a craft beer place. It's going to be a beverage first place, but you will be able to find craft beer there as well.
Great concept. Now, one of the cool things I found is the interior was amazing, the design of it, which I had to ask your partner there about how he came up with it. And the bar stools, not only are they massive and comfortable, but your back of the bar stool is a skateboard.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're kind of ridiculous. We think of these repurposing ideas, and really, you'll go in there and it's going to be a late 80s, early 90s, like hip-hop skateboarding feel.
Right.
A lot of that comes from growing up in that era of like positive hip-hop with bands like De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest,
Yeah.
And also punk rock and skateboarding. And so that's sort of when you saw like the racial divide sort of diminish in my neighborhood and growing up, and people just coming together. So that's the thing that we're celebrating. Hopefully you folks get that and ask us questions about the decor and are psyched about it.
And I think, and when you open, we'll be there to help you celebrate,
Yeah.
of course. But when you do get to go see Troop, and I'm glad we got to make the announcement about it today, the design you've done so far is amazing. It's really cool. It's funky. It's fun.
I can't really take any credit for that. That's my friend Kyla Coburn. She's been waiting to do a restaurant with us forever, and we basically gave her our plug words, and she just ran with it. And basically, what you guys are going to find is, an oasis in Valley Street that I think you're going to be psyched about.
I agree. That's a good word for it. And you've got a courtyard out there.
Yeah, we got a tiny
Right?
courtyard, so we're going to do some lunches out there. And then we're going to work with Armory and the partners down there to also do some bigger events come springtime in their other bigger courtyard as well.
Fantastic. So I promise I will stay in touch with Sean, and when the opening date's going to be there, he will give it to me and feed me the date so I can put it out there. But
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. So you got to keep your fingers crossed. But I can tell you, it looks ready. It looks really like you're in good shape. And they were mentioning to me you're going to be testing some food out tomorrow.
Yeah, so we have our catering license, so technically we're allowed to do pop-up kitchens outside. So tomorrow, last week we did our taco shop. This week we're going to do a burger blowout tomorrow. So if you're around the Valley Street area, you want to come in, check us out from 12 to 3. We'll be feeding people.
Nice.
And then from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, we're probably going to do like some small bites and cocktails for a little while. So
Perfect.
Come on in, visit the space, take a look at it, get excited if you want to get excited. And, again, support all local businesses throughout the state and around New England and obviously the country.
Absolutely. And when he gets open, we will go there and we'll do a live video with him to highlight some of the stuff, because you're going to want to see this space. They've done a great job. Sean, thank you for everything you've done in Revival, your long history, and actually it's a big commitment that you made to Providence as a whole. So from your days at Trinity as a chef, and now you're again reinvesting in the city and the
Yeah,
state
we're
as
just
a whole. So.
paying it forward. Really, it's a city that welcomed me with open arms. I grew up here, and doing whatever we can to bring some positivity to the place.
Well, we're glad you are. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks
really
very
appreciate
much,
having
Rick.
you in.